As every Sunday we travel through wine, this time we head to the Ribera del Duero to Bodegas Villano with Desiderio Sastre, its general director. Good morning, welcome, welcome, it's good to be here. It's been years or some time since you came to this table, right? We are going to talk, of course, about not so long ago. If we talk about wine, well, Villano is 30 years old, right? The winery, more or less, if I'm not mistaken. Well, it's from the year 57, so we are going to be close to 60. No, of course, no. I was talking about 1982. I was looking, but of course that was the creation of the designation of origin, and you are much earlier than the designation, right? Well, with vineyards, also family owned since the early 20th century, right? And that's where you made your first wine. Exactly, yes, that's how it started, and well, it was one of the first wineries, the pioneering wineries, that was founded in August 57, and well, with an important production capacity, because we are talking about 1,300,000 kilos of grapes from 57. My goodness, yes. So it was always, let's say, a winery of great importance in the area. Well, 250 hectares is no small thing, right? It's significant, and besides, you are in a privileged location, which is Pedrosa del Duero, right? I mean, almost the Golden Mile, we could say, right? Yes. Or within that Golden Mile, they talk about... Exactly, in Ribera del Duero today, there are 24,000 hectares, and, well, we have 250. We are expanding another 10 hectares. Next year, we will be around 260, which means an average production of around 1.5 million kilos, which is significant production in a significant area, which is the Ribera Alta area, a privileged area due to the soils, the climate, 850 meters of altitude, and well, a place selected by the best wineries in Ribera del Duero to, well, plant vineyards and make wonderful wines, of course, right? That's right. In that line that you have of making wines of the highest quality, there is also a lot of research, many innovations. For those who are listening, maybe if they want to identify Bodegas Villano, your labels are quite recognizable with those poker cards, we could say, right? Which are something that already identifies you. You have made a radical change, not in those labels, but in a novelty that is to recover one of the most aromatic and fragrant varieties in the world, which is the Albarín, that white wine that you have made with this variety that has more than 200 years of history, right? Yes. Indeed, within what is the Full Flap brand, which is a brand where we group very innovative projects. A couple of years ago, we released Full Flap Tinto, which is a wine with a more American profile than typically European. I love that crazy aviator label, right? Almost looks like the aviator goggles of the 20th century. Well, almost the 19th century. Yes. Very beautiful and very communicative in that new vision or approach, which is a bit for people just starting in wine, those young people, that call to enjoy. But look at what a contrast, right? You are looking for those rogue labels that we talked about before, and however, you choose a grape with a lot of history and that with many aromas, very fragrant, but also as an attempt to recover it, right? Because Albarín is very little known. Yes, it's true. That is to say, within what is the Full Flap brand, indeed 2 years ago we launched the Tinto, and now as a novelty we are releasing a white wine, very little known in general in Spain, only basically in the production areas, because there is very little. There are about 200 hectares in total in Spain. We are talking about a little more than 1 million kilos, 1,300,000 kilos. That is, it's very little. And basically it is in the north of Leon, in the area around Garajal de Campos, basically the southern part of Asturias in Cangas de Narcea. There are about 7 wineries that produce Albarín. Albarín is a variety that surprised me a few years ago when I had my first contacts with it, because of its explosive characteristics, right? I mean, it has an explosive aromatic power. It's really impressive. And then on the palate, It's very refreshing, it has very good acidity, it's very long. And, well, as soon as I saw it, I really said, we have to do something with this variety, because at this moment the white wine market is growing a lot. If we look at the last few years, really. Well, Albarino from Rías Baixas, then came Verdejo from the Rueda area, right? Now Godello is becoming very popular, right? That is to say, we are talking about 3 grape varieties that are gaining a lot of prominence because the white wine market is gaining a lot of popularity. And so to get into what is the summer season with a refreshing wine, a different wine, which is a bit what we try to do with Full Flap, the project of making the Albarín white variety young and embracing it under the Full Flap brand emerged, right? So we just launched it a month ago. It's surprising because wherever it is presented, it stands out from the glass. It's something spectacular, something impressive. It's a young white wine with characteristics of many citrus fruits. It's very aromatic. It also has balsamic aromas, tropical fruits. And then, well, it surprises with its length on the palate. It has about 13 degrees. So on the palate, it is also very pleasant. It's a very, very balanced wine and a really impressive wine. I really like that bitter finish it has, right? That invites you to drink more, right? Exactly. And that length, so to speak, it's true that it's a very fresh, very pleasant wine, but it also indicates the quality of a good white wine, right? Let's clarify that we were talking about Villano from Ribera del Duero, about your very well-known Barata wines, but this Albarín is within, or this Full Flap is within the Leon denomination of origin, right? Yes, exactly. It is under the Dio Leon. There is another part of the Albarín production that is within what is Cangas del Narcea, but, well, really there is no more today. Yes, that possibly from what I am seeing with the growers, there is interest in intensifying, in planting more of this variety, because it is giving fantastic results, right? Notice that you are talking about 13 degrees, a wine now, well, suitable always, but especially now in summer, when we want less alcoholic wines, fresher, easier to drink. But above all, you mentioned Cangas del Narcea, and I was remembering that, I don't know, not even 10 years ago, if someone mentioned a wine from Cangas, you would say, well, let's see what I'm going to find here, right? How it has changed due to climate change as well, that perception of those fresh wines. Now everyone is looking for those high altitudes that before, where it was not even dreamed that wine could be planted, right? And how the trend is also this of the consumer to drink fresher wines, those white wines. And what I am telling you, as in more traditional areas like Rioja, like Rueda, everyone is looking for a bit of what used to be called crazy, those winemakers who planted high. Today it's like the coveted jewel, right? Yes, it is. So really the altitude is giving a thermal differential as well. It is being sought, well, more radiation during the day and a thermal drop during the night, and a much higher thermal contrast. Normally there is less water at the surface level because the rivers and humidity are usually down in the valleys. So, due to climatic and soil characteristics, they are suitable places to plant certain wine growers. The challenge is so. You were talking about Full Flap Tinto before, that there are also reds for the summer, right? Would this be an example or not? Exactly, yes. Really, the proposal of Full Flap Tinto is to reconnect with a new type of consumer. That is, in Ribera del Duero, we have a very marked profile with Tempranillo. And let's say that there are new consumption trends coming from America, and that also connect with the new generations who are starting to consume wine, which are sweeter wines, right? They are wines that enter more easily. And, well, for that we really need other types of varieties like Merlot, which is a variety that is indeed used a lot in Argentina, in California, Chile, and together with a smaller proportion of Tempranillo. That's why we are outside our origin, because in Ribera del Duero we are required to have a minimum of 75% Tempranillo. So, for example, in the case of the full flap, to give the wine much more body and connect with that new consumer, we lowered the Tempranillo to 40% and increased the proportion of Merlot, incorporated Cabernet Sauvignon, and then the profile of the wine changes radically. And indeed, it is a wine that is having tremendous success and is connecting with these new tastes of young people who are more accustomed to living, coming from sweeter drinks, and the dry wines, let's say, they still do not have enough consumption experience with them, so it connects directly with that type of audience. Well, Desiderio Sastre, thank you very much for coming to the studio today, bringing us these new developments, and above all, congratulations on that work of going beyond, but also of knowing the market and the new and different tastes, which also change in wine. The winemakers, or the way of making wine, changes. The search for those different varieties also changes, and above all, the tastes of the consumer change, which is what needs to be interpreted and understood. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for letting us be here on your program and to be able to explain to our audience these new proposals, which I believe are very interesting developments. There's no better place. Thank you very much. Thanks.